in this kind of job that you are doing, you should add dots to get what exactly the manager Erik ten Hag is obviously using. You know, when he was demanding for a center forward, you saw what he did to Cristiano Ronaldo. When he was demanding for a central midfielder, you saw what he did to the likes of Fred and Scott McTominay until he got one. And when he was demanding for a goalkeeper, you saw what he told the board about David De Gea. He's a man who does come out and obviously say, I don't need this player. But his actions on the field of play obviously orchestrate what he is telling the board. Although we don't have flies on the wall, but we anticipate that certain people can read what the manager is going to hate to portray the field of play and obviously not do the needful. And then that will be obviously embroidered into the thoughts of the manager. And today we are really bringing you a story of Big Ten Hag's Amrabat vocal demand. It's really a huge one that's going to hate to be brought in by Gary Neville, the former legend of Manchester United and captain. Welcome to United Matters channel. Good morning, guys. And how is your morning? How was your night? Here I come in peace to bring you the latest news and information as far as these stories are really concerned. Rokan David is my name and RD are my initials. Then we call upon 400 likes on this video. Don't forget to subscribe because we want to hit 16,000 subscribers before the end of this month. It's the 21st of August and we are left with only 11 days to call this month on August, and then obviously we get to the next month. Anton Martial, West Ham are really looking to sign the player and they're trying to obviously monitor and prepare a bid for Anton Martial. We are going to come out and obviously tell you what that is all about. Dean Henderson to Nottingham Forest. A deal is in place and they are planning to obviously do the needful to obviously get him out, and United are going to hate to line up a would-be a replacement for Dean Henderson, who is going to act as a second-choice goalkeeper for Manchester United. For the most viewers and subscribers, Barakallahu Fikum, and may Allah see you through all your endeavors. Now, after the game of Tottenham Hotspur, Gary Neville put out this. This is what he observed, that Ten Hag wants a number 6 who can play alongside Casemiro, and right now the club can't sell players to fund him. If they look at the first 2 weeks, they have to fund him, or there'll be big problems. What is clear is that Ten Hag does not want to go back to Scott McTominay. Now, Ten Hag's message has been clear that I cannot trust Scott McTominay in my midfield. It has been clear. Even in the preseason, that's why you saw to hit that. In the game of Arsenal, he started Kobe Menu alongside, I think it was alongside who? Alongside, is it Ericsson or who? Then, in the game of Real Madrid, he started Casemiro and Kobe Menu, meaning that he's rating Kobe Menu ahead of Scott McTominay, and he doesn't really need him at the club. But the board looks like they're forcing him to obviously keep these players, but he's telling them, I don't want these players. I need a number 6 that is going to come in through and obviously take me to where the Man Cities are. Look at Arsenal, look at Chelsea, Caicedo, and Enzo Fernandez, Romeo Lavia. If at all that midfield obviously comes into cohesion or coheses up, obviously it's going to be one of the best central midfields in Europe. That is it. So Ten Hag is demanding for Amrabat signing and is vocal about that, though during the board. But on the pitch, he shows us that however much we are playing a game of physicality versus Wolverhampton Wanderers at Old Trafford, and we looked like we are really vulnerable in the midfield and needed another physical specimen in there, and Scott McTominay of the field was on the bench. He never brought him until I think the dying minutes of the game. Yet I think Scott McTominay are gonna hate to do a job into that game. Then, even when we are playing Tottenham Hotspur and we required another physical tenacious specimen in the midfield, Ten Hag never thought about Scott McTominay. It's like sending a message to the board that please get me Sofyan Amrabat. I need the player to come in through. But the problem is the board needs to sell to buy, but they're failing to sell players. But they sold Fred, and they have close to 12 or 13 million pounds with them, meaning that they are left with close to 12 million pounds to top onto that. And that's why they want to sell Dean Henderson, Brandon Williams and Donny van de Beek out of Manchester United. Scott McTominay, I don't know what he's doing at the club of Manchester United, because Ten Hag is not using him, but I don't know why the club of United never took 30 million pounds from West Ham. If you had gone and done that early enough, would have gone ahead to get in Sofyan Amrabat, and maybe he would have gone ahead to be able to play in the game of Wolverhampton Wanderers and the game of Tottenham Hotspur, and he wouldn't have lost that game of Tottenham Hotspur if Sofyan Amrabat was onto that pitch alongside Casemiro. Now, Gary Neville also went ahead to let us know exactly what number 6 Erik ten Hag is calling in for. He said, we are trying to sign Sofyan Amrabat to line up alongside Casemiro. They want to buy him for a specific reason. Erik ten Hag is not going back to players like Fred, Scott McTominay, who are not technically good enough. So, this is the mind of Erik ten Hag. He's not going back to Fred and Scott McTominay. And for Fred, he has shown him the exit door and is going to play in Turkey. Now, Scott McTominay is not technically gifted and is still at the club. What does the club of Manchester United really think Scott McTominay is to call in for 45 million pounds from him? He's a player from the academy. Just let him go. Tell them that get us 30 million pounds and the others should be add-ons. That if at all he plays such and such number of games for West Ham, we get this amount of money. That's what they should do, because we should obviously try to get money to get in these midfielders. Fred has left. Even Scott McTominay needs to leave in a nick of time, because even if you keep a player like Scott McTominay at Manchester United and you are not giving him enough playing time, and 2, he's not pushing Casemiro to the nerves, then that is no work done. We need to keep players that can obviously enforce pressure onto the already existing players. Like, you bring Sofyan Amrabat into that midfield, even Casemiro will have to elevate his game, because he knows that there is a player that can do the job equally as him. So that is why we need to obviously improve onto our elite players at the club of Manchester United. And I call upon the club to obviously go on and obviously back the manager and bring in Sofyan Amrabat. And I've always told you that, to me, the first signing this summer would have been a CDM, and Sofyan Amrabat would have been the first signing of Manchester United. That is it, because that was the most important position at Manchester United. Even if we had David De Gea in goal and Sofyan Amrabat was a variable, even if he brought in Mason Mount, would have gone ahead to obviously have 2 busybodies into that double pivot who are really steady eddies. That is Sofyan Amrabat and Casemiro. Even if Ten Hag went in for Mount and he played him as a central attack midfielder, Bruno as a wide right attack midfielder, it would have gone ahead to act well, because you're having two players playing the double pivot who can obviously connect the midfield to the attack by using a long pass, or by obviously carrying that ball with them. And if at all that ball is lost, those 2 bodies can obviously put up resistance and win the midfield battles. That is Casemiro and Sofyan Amrabat. And Ten Hag is wanting Sofyan Amrabat. On top of that, he's really went ahead to identify another player known as Marco Verratti. So, why Marco Verratti? I told you in the previous video that we closed up with last night that Sofyan Amrabat is a young lad, 26 years of age. He was bringing young energy, and Marco Verratti is 30. For me, I would rather be having Marco Verratti at Man United other than having Scott McTominay, Donny van de Beek, and Fred. So if those 3 leave and you replace them with Sofyan Amrabat and Marco Verratti, that will be a very, very, very good business done. And I'll come here and tell you that we are into the title race. If we can get Sofyan Amrabat and Verratti in the remaining 2 weeks for this window to come to an end, I'll obviously come here and tell you that we are in for the trophy, because those players will obviously outmatch the quality of Man City in the midfield, outmatch the quality of Arsenal in the midfield, outmatch the quality of Liverpool in the midfield, because you can obviously play them there when you're playing away at City and you win the game. Sofyan Amrabat, Casemiro and Marco Verratti in a midfield 3. You know, you get Verratti to play as a sitting stadium, Sofyan Amrabat on the other side and Casemiro on the other side. Sofyan Amrabat and Casemiro playing as 2 number 8s and Verratti playing as a CDM. That will be an ideal midfield that can win any midfield battle, either in the Champions League or in the Premier League. By the way, that combination can even win the Champions League, because you'll know that you'll have those 3 players and you can easily try to field maybe Bruno Fernandes, Højlund and Marcus Rashford as the front 3 of Manchester United, and that midfield can obviously get them the ball and obviously help you in the defensive area. So that is what I think about Sofyan Amrabat and Verratti. If we get them in, that will be a very huge signing. Then West Ham in the mix. Sorry about that. That West Ham are monitoring Anthony Martial's situation, but it's unlikely that he would be able to match any fee and wages on offer from the Middle East. The Saudis are expected to come in with a hefty transfer fee for Anthony Martial. Now, however much he's being linked to Saudi Arabia and West Ham, Ten Hag can't make this mistake, because he knows that he's lacking a centre forward. Rasmus Højlund has been injured and is soon returning in a space of like 2 weeks from now. Anthony Martial is back and he played some 17 minutes in that game of Tottenham Hotspur. That's when he came in through, and he played the remaining 10 plus the added 9. That is close to 20 minutes for Anthony Martial. So I believe that Anthony Martial is still at Man United and Ten Hag still trusts him, and he needs to be having 2 strikers. And on those 2, he's still demanding for 1 more, because you've seen the body language of Marcus Rashford indicating to us that he doesn't want to play as a centre forward. He needs to be played into his favorite position, that is the left attacking side of the midfield. That is Marcus Rashford for you. So to me, I find it cynical for Anthony Martial to be linked to other clubs, because right now in the market, you cannot get strikers that can meet the demands of Erik Ten Hag. That is it. So we all know that the closer you come to the transfer window deadline, you know, the more the prices of these players really rise, because it's hard for obviously getting a replacement, and Ten Hag cannot really sanction a move of such a nature. He needs more players. He was really bragful about him having 2 players in every position, and he feels like his squad is almost ready, and missing out on like Sofyan Amrabat to come and compete with Casemiro, Harry Maguire to leave, to get in like a Todibo, all Pava, and so on and so forth. So that is what's running in the mind of Erik Ten Hag. So Rasmus Højlund and Anthony Martial are here, and Ten Hag believes they can get the job done. And I don't see him losing another player, because he knows that it's hard for the players to fit into this team of him. Look at how Mason Mount is struggling to fit into that team of Manchester United. So he cannot obviously allow to bring in the centre forward to obviously fight to suit into the team. Yet with Anthony Martial, the team of Manchester United plays better and better. Now, Adrian Kajumba, he works for the Daily Mail has confirmed to us that Manchester United and Crystal Palace have begun talks over a deal of Dean Henderson. Obviously, it's anticipated that this is going to happen in the next 2 or 3 days, and Dean Henderson has gone ahead to give it green light. Fabrizio Romano comes out and throws in a very huge update as far as the departure of Dean Henderson is really concerned. He said exclusive, Man United now exploring move for Odysseus Valkodimos, who is expected to leave Benfica. Valkodimos, top of Man United list as new backup goalkeeper in case Dean Henderson joins Crystal Palace or Forest. That is it. So the plan is clear. United are not giving up onto what they are supposed to do, especially as far as this team is concerned. They've gone ahead to put up replacements and alternatives on their list for all this man really lives. Remember, this is a 29-year-old goalkeeper that has been at Benfica, and we look at last season in the Premier La Liga, he played 34 games, and this season is going to have to play only 1 game. But let's look at his contract situation and see how it's really standing. He's 29 years of age, and he's a goalkeeper, plays for Greece. He's 1.9 meters tall. His contract expires in 2027, and those are like 4 years from now. But the player wants to leave, and I don't know how much United will pay for this goalkeeper, because he might be an expensive goalkeeper, and I don't know whether he's willing to obviously come in through and obviously become a backup goalkeeper. But to me, all I want is to first see Dean Henderson leave and we get in Sofyan Amrabat, because for the goalkeeping department, you don't expect Andrew Onana to get very many injuries, and Tom Heaton can come in through and obviously get the job done. So guys, your thoughts on Ten Hag making a very huge Amrabat vocal transfer demand are welcome in the comment section below. What do you make about Anton Martial? Do you think he will leave either to West Ham or the South side? And lastly, what do you make about United closing in a deal of cashing in for Dean Henderson and the replacement that Fabrizio Romano has gone ahead to talk about? I cover it all in the precious blood of Jesus Christ, and my Muslim viewers and subscribers, Barak Lau Fikum. Peace out.